I want all of you to close your eyes and imagine an entry of a ghost. I'll give you 10 seconds to imagine the whole scene. Time's up. Was it a black dark night with a bright full moon? Bats flying around and doors and windows of a haunted house opening with a freaky sound, and finally the entry of a bloody-faced, white-clothed ghost flying in the air coming towards you? Most of you must have thought the same, but what I thought was a friendly one, with a heroic entry helping people whenever needed, just like an animated cartoon movie. But why do most of you have imagined the haunted scene? I'll give you the answer after some time, but let me first tell you what imagination is. It is the action of forming new ideas or images that are neither real nor exist in the real world. Imagination is the creator of everything. Anything you see around you is due to a person's imagination. Someone would have thought about it, followed it, and brought them to the real world. Like Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb was one of the persons who dared to follow his imagination. Wright brothers were told by some scientists that nothing heavier than air can fly above the ground, but they dared to follow their imagination and invented the first flying biplane. Let us test your imagination. Look at the X on the screen and imagine a red triangle. Was it something like this? For the next one, you need to tell me the thing that comes first in your mind. Remember, the first thing that comes in your mind. What does an A stand for? An apple, right? Try to think something different this time. Imagine a flower. Many of you must have probably thought something like the image shown on the right side. But the image on the left is also a flower, comparatively uglier. But how do I know the answers you are going to tell me? And don't worry, I am not the one who can read your mind. This was because some data in your mind is stored permanently and is difficult to change. This is the data which you have seen or heard about repeatedly. Remember, I told you to imagine a ghost entry? Most of you have imagined the haunted scene because you have seen these kinds of scenes in many of the horror movies. And this was the reason why I were able to guess the answer correctly. I told you many things about imagination, but what is its importance in our everyday life? Imagination infuses our entire existence. It influences everything we do, think about, and create. Ultimately, imagination is the base of anything we did earlier, are doing now, and will do in future. Like when you buy a t-shirt or any other clothing item, you'll first put it up on you and imagine how would you look like after wearing it. It seems to be very simple, right? But it's not that simple. Functioning of the brain is very complex, and imagination is a part of that complex functioning. Scientists at Dartmouth College found out that imagination takes place in the human brain's mental workspace, a widespread neural network that constantly manipulates symbols, ideas, images, and theories. 15 volunteers were asked to conjure up in their mind specific individuals and then mentally combine them to more complicated images. Others were told to create complex images in their mind and then mentally dismantle them to specific individuals. With the use of fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, the team was able to measure the volunteers' brain activity. It showed up that visual cortex, a part of the brain that constantly manipulates symbols, appeared to be involved in the imaginary process. I see people being confused between imagination, thinking, and dreams, but these three are totally different concepts. Dreaming is an involuntary action that takes place when we are unconscious, while thinking and imagination are stages of consciousness. I associate thinking with work and imagination with fun. They are just like meals and desserts. Meals are important because they sustain us to a healthy life, but desserts are just for fun. We can enjoy them whenever we want. From these all, my perspective towards thinking is that Thinking is the last step after dreaming and imagination, but the first step to do an action. Just the thing to do is to not let your imagination go anywhere if you think it can change the world. Walt Disney also dared to follow his imagination and create the all-time favorite Mickey Mouse. He quoted that laughter is timeless, imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. So, do not let your imagination go anywhere. Many of you must have noticed that imagination power differs from person to person. This may be because a person is born with a good imagination. This comes from genes. This may depend on how a person have grown up. If a person have grown up playing with toys and puzzles, the person may have a good imagination. But on the other hand, if a person have grown up without playing with toys and puzzles, the person may have a bad imagination. If you think you have a bad imagination, don't worry. I have some solutions for it. Number 1. Open your minds to unexplored paths. To come up with new ideas may be challenging, but as people would take time to realize it, but as time passes, they'll realize what you want to tell them. Number 2. Be curious. Ask more and more questions, and your curiosity to know their answers may improve your imagination. Number 3. Read more. Reading is a part of learning new things, and your curiosity to learn new things may improve the ability to accept new things, improving your imagination. Number 4. Tell stories. Tell stories that makes the person visualize what's going on in the story. This will help you also to imagine what's going on. So, do not let your imagination go anywhere, because logic will get you from A to Z, but imagination will get you everywhere. Thank you.